So the international break is finally over. I actually love international breaks because we have the opportunity to go and see our national team. A lot of people don't, and they don't actually like the international break. But it is time for us to predict the scores for week 9 of this Premier League season. Seems like an absolute age, doesn't it? We've actually predicted any Premier League scores. So without further ado, let's just get down to business.
Okay, so first up we have the North London derby, 12:30 on BT, between Arsenal and Spurs. Now, last season I should say, Arsenal won the one game 3-1, and then Spurs won the other game 3-0. So, going to be an interesting one. It is at Arsenal, though, however, I think, which does give the advantage. I don't know, to be honest, 2-2.
For me, well, if you look at their stats so far this season, being a stato and all that, Arsenal and Spurs have actually scored in each and every game that they've played in. Arsenal on great form, defensively good. Spurs themselves on good form, currently in 3rd position. Arsenal, of course, top of the table. So a lot of people are tipping Arsenal to win this one, but I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I think they'll cancel each other out, and I think it'll be 1-1 at the end of the day. We then move on to the first of the 3 o'clock kick-offs on Saturday. We've got Bournemouth coming up against Brentford. Now, Bournemouth, after that hammering by Liverpool where they lost 9-0, they kind of turned it around. They're up to 12th position. They've had 2 draws and a win. That win, a good victory against Nottingham Forest away. And they're coming up against a Brentford team who have started the season well. They find themselves in 9th position, losing last time out at home against Arsenal in that all-London affair.
That's a difficult fixture.
It was, and they lost against Fulham as well. And I actually fancy the Cherries to win again in this one. I know a lot of their players have been away on international duty, and so have Brentford, likes of Tony, called up for England, of course. But it's going to be a tight match, but I think the Cherries will come out victorious in the end, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory.
Interesting. I actually think this is going to be quite tight, but I don't know why I just edge Brentford a little bit further. It could go that way. Just because the way they've started in Bournemouth. I don't know, I think they are going to start to tail off now, so I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford.
Yeah, perhaps the break didn't do them.
Yeah, I think it did them terrible, to be honest. Terrible timing for them. Anyway, next up we've got Crystal Palace versus new manager Chelsea. Of course, out goes Thomas Tuchel. Their new owner's very trigger happy, and then the football hipster.
Almost not as bad as the Watford.
Absolutely. No, they're a joke, all the Cardiff owners, in fact. But anyway, moving on apart from that, Chelsea bringing in the football hipster king, whatever you call him, Graham Potter. BTEC Harry Potter. Who knows how he's going to do at Chelsea? I mean, every time there's been a bigger job, he just completely leaves the other club in ransom, doesn't he? He's done it to like his last 2 or 3 clubs now. But I think he'll probably win his first one. Only new manager bounce 2 on Chelsea. Yeah,
if there is such a thing as a new manager bounce. Yeah. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. A Palace team struggling, you could say, down in 16th position. Only 1 victory this year, but they have been playing well. But for their efforts, they're not really putting the points on the board. So for that reason, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Chelsea in this one. I think they won this fixture last year 1-0. It'll be a positive result for Potter in this one. Yeah, a 2-0 win for me. Moving on to the next fixture, we've got Fulham coming up against Newcastle, and Newcastle got a few injury problems. I think the likes of St. Maximin are out. Isaac up front picked up a knock on international duty, so he won't be available. And whether Callum Wilson comes back into the fold after being injured himself. Mitrovic, away on international duty, scores a hat-trick in his first victory. I can't remember who that was against. And then comes up against Haaland, his foe in the Premier League, and Serbia come away with a 2-0 victory in Norway. Mitrovic scoring in that fixture. He has scored 4 goals in his last 2 matches on international duty. Did pick up a little bit of knock, but he did play in both of them. He's a man mounted. He's a machine. Coming up against the Newcastle team themselves, I think they've hardly won this season. They've won 1 match, they've drawn 5.
But they grind out results. They've only lost 1 this season, which
they do
is, well, that's like comparable to someone like Brighton. Spurs haven't lost yet. Arsenal have only lost 1 game.
We've only had 6 or 7 matches. But in this one, I fancy Fulham. I think they will inflict Newcastle's second defeat on them. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the home team. And hopefully Mitrovic will score, because I may be bringing him into my fantasy football team.
So probably Surprisingly, I disagree. I mean, yes, Newcastle have they never seem to play well in London, but at the same time, they have been impressing me with the way they've been grinding out results, and they just needed that time, I think, over an international break period to sort of gel. But Isaac, massive loss on injury from the Sweden national team, but I think Fulham, it's come at the wrong time from them. They had the momentum there, but I don't know. I'm just going to back Newcastle 2-1. Anyway, moving on, next up we've got Liverpool versus new manager Brighton. Now, does anyone know who this guy is? I've never heard of him before. I can't even remember his name now to say that, actually. And Liverpool, they need to start to get some victories together, rise at the table. They're currently in 8th. Remove that patchy bit of form where they're drawing all these games, and I think they're going to do it
once though, so.
They are. I think they're going to do it because Brighton, they're going to be mega disorganised now.
Really?
Graham Potter's gone, so I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool.
I don't know, you never know. A lot of their players perhaps on international duty, like Trossard of course of Belgium. Liverpool, a load of their players out on international duty. Maybe it's been time for a lot of their injuries to come back into the fray as well. I do expect Liverpool to get a victory at home. I don't think they've lost at home. I think their only one defeat was against Manchester United, wasn't it? Was that Old Trafford?
Yeah.
I believe it was, wasn't it? It was. Yeah, just checking on the stats system there. But I'm going to go for a Liverpool victory in this one. Salah scored for Egypt away on international duty, so I'm going to go for 2-1 Liverpool win. Moving on to the next fixture, we've got Southampton against Everton. Another game on at 3 o'clock. Quite a few 3 o'clock games this weekend, which I'd love to see. Southampton, Everton, this is going to be a close one. Everton, woeful. They did win in their last match, which was a 1-0 home victory against West Ham.
West Ham, terrible to be fair in that
Prior
one.
to that, though, they had 5 draws on the bounce. Southampton, only one position below them, but back-to-back defeats against Wolves, and Aston Villa only 1-0 there. So I think they're going to lose this one as well, 1-0. I'm going to go for a Toffees away victory. They don't concede many, do they? Defensively sound. 1-0 to Everton for me.
Interesting. I do think with the way, they have been grinding out a lot, but holding it out, not scoring too much, whereas Southampton, you just don't know which Saints team is going to turn up, to be honest. I mean, they've lost their last 2, but international breaks come at the right time for them, to be fair, and those losses, they should have really won them considering who they were playing in the table. So I don't know what to make of them, but I think I'm just going to narrowly back Southampton for a 1-0. Anyway, moving on to the 5:30 on Sky between West Ham and Wolves, 18th versus 17th. West Ham, just terrible form at the moment, struggling to score, conceding sloppy goals and letting the odd one in. And Wolves, yes, they did lose to Man City 3-0, but they've had some difficult fixtures as of late, and they are grinding out results. So difficult. I think they're going to do it again, Wolves. I'm going to say 1-1.
1-1, yeah. I think there's some rumours I've heard that Jimenez could be injured again, or he's gone out for treatment or something. So they're light at top again. Unless Diego Costa is in there, will he make his debut this weekend?
Yeah, they need someone to know.
He is a
shadow as well for Diego Costa, to be honest.
He is a monster, isn't he? But can he get around the pitch, etc.? Probably the snooze fest of the weekend. I'm going to go for a 1-0 home victory to the Hammers, which will only be their second victory of the weekend. Moving on to the Sunday fixtures, where we've got a massive fixture up north in Manchester between champions-elect, you could say Manchester City and Manchester United. Haaland running away with the Golden Boot in the Premier League.
Oh, that's a cert he's going to get it.
Yeah.
They're saying if he goes at the current rate that he's going to end up on something like 54 goals.
Amazing.
By the end of the season.
Will he get those goals against Manchester United though? Because they've sort of turned around their season. Mr. Ten Hag doing wonders up there. I think it's...
Yeah, but look at their fixtures.
Yeah.
In some aspects.
It is... They haven't really come up apart... Well, no, they had a very good victory against Arsenal and Liverpool, so it's not to be sniffed at. But they're playing a different kettle of fish in Man City in this one. I'm going to go for a Manchester City win of 3-1. But I think it'll be a lot closer than that scoreline suggests.
Interesting. I don't know why I'm going to back Man City in it. I just think coming off the back of the international break, Haaland's going to be hungry after that loss to Serbia. I'm going to go for a Haaland hat-trick 3-0.
Wow.
Anyway, moving on from that, next up we've got Leeds against Villa at 4:30. Now Leeds stumbling around. They've had a good start to the season, but it's starting to dip a little bit now. Jesse Marsh needs to really get it back to the momentum they had at the start of the season. And then Aston Villa, just struggling to get out of first gear so far. They did have that victory against Southampton though last time, but that positivity would have gone by now since international break. Don't know to back. Probably going to go on the safe side. Unfortunately, Leeds 2-1.
Leeds 2-1. Yeah, this could go either way, Villa or Leeds. Leeds look a lot better at home this season than they are away. It's going to be tight. I'm going to go for a Leeds 1-0 victory. I'm not sure if Brentford is back fit now. I know he's been on the bench, etc. So yeah, I'm going to go for a home win up there at Elland Road. And the final fixture of this weekend takes place
on the biggest, actually, I'd say.
Monday
massive.
Evening. This is massive for Leicester. This is massive for Nottingham Forest. If one of these teams can get 3 points, then it may, well, it would propel Nottingham Forest perhaps out of the relegation zone, and it would bring Leicester nearer to
and it's a derby as well.
It is a derby.
This is an underrated one.
Goals galore. They're conceding, both of these teams, but they're also scoring as well. Maddison, even though he's been on the losing team a lot this season, he's looking good, getting amongst the goals and assists. It's going to be tight. I think it's going to be lots of goals, 5 goals in fact, but I think Leicester will edge it for the first victory of the season, 3-2.
Well, there's one thing for sure. If this was at the City ground, that is going to be a massive Nottingham Forest victory, but it's going to be a solid atmosphere for it at the King Power, since this derby hasn't it happened in the FA Cup last year and Forest came out on top, didn't they? But this derby, aside from that, hasn't happened since 2013, 2014 in the league, so highly anticipated. I'm going to go for a stalemate because it's at the King Power. 1-1.
1-1. So that concludes our predictions for week 9. Now, back in week 8, top scorer was Alex Cochrane with 14 points and 3 perfect scores. So congratulations on that score there, Alex. For the overall table though, Louis Smith, top of the table yet again, currently on 78 points. Something like, what was it, 4.5 points ahead of second place to Hewer, and then Ferris 77. Josh in 4th position as well. Now, Nathan, this weekend, what are we up to? We're going to watch football for a change?
We are. However,
recently anyway.
We have, yes, indeed. But there's one more question because another manager's gone. Who's the next to go?
Next to go? If Leicester lose against Forest, then Brenda will be gone. I can guarantee that.
Brenda. Anyway, apart from that, Cardiff.
Or Steve Cooper. There were murmurings of the international break.
That would be a silly sacking.
His job could be in jeopardy.
That would be a silly sacking. But aside from that, Cardiff City versus Burnley. Massive match. Don't even know what the atmosphere is going to be like. Yeah, there will be. Going to be interesting. On channel.
New manager bounce, perhaps.
Well,
we live in hope, don't we? So.
Interim manager again.
Thanks for joining us once again. Make sure you leave your predictions over at the Superbru website if you're not already a member, which is free to join. Get over there, link in the description below, and probably somewhere around here is the league code as well. Thanks for joining us once again. It's been a blast. We'll see you all in the next video.
Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah.